Hey, what's up guys, I'm Bright Torn and welcome back to Victoria 3 as we are playing as the United States. So before we get started in today's episode, I did want to look at one mechanic that we haven't really talked about in this Let's Play yet, and that is trade. You know, in my continued effort to make this kind of be like a beginner guide Let's Play series. So you'll notice on the map that they have these little dots going across the sea. These are the trade nodes. And basically they determine how far away something is for when it comes to trade. So if we were to click on one of these, you'll see all the shipping lanes that are currently going through these trade nodes. So the trade nodes direct a few different things. So you'll see them direct your goods, obviously. So that's where the goods travel through. They'll also direct any supplies. So let's say we did, I don't know, a naval invasion of Brazil. Then the supply for the troops that were there would go through these trade nodes as well. You'd be able to see that on here. And then the final thing is they connect ports. So let's say over here, if we conquered all this territory on the Pacific coast, and then we somehow lost connection here. I don't know, maybe Mexico takes this from us, and thus our country's now split. We have a Pacific coast and Atlantic coast that are not connected by land. And then the markets would have to be connected by sea. I guess another example would be if we just conquered an island over here, then that would have to be connected by sea as well. And all that connection goes through these trade nodes. And what's important here is the supply network strength. You want to keep that at 100%. I cannot seem to get to hover over this. But you want to keep that at 100% so that those three different things that go through the trade nodes are not affected. So like your ports, the port connections, those would be impacted in the sense that you would have less access to the nation's market or that local market. So the state, you know, that, let's say we're talking about over here in the Caribbean, the Bahamas, let's say we own that island. If we didn't have full network strength here, then we wouldn't have full access to the resources that this island chain is producing. Similarly, they would not have full access to the national market. So that would affect the prices both in the Bahamas and in the national market because they're not connected properly because we don't have enough supply strength. And that's basically based on, God, I just cannot get this to stay clicked on, your available convoys versus your required convoys. Essentially, as long as you have the required convoys available, then you'll have 100% supply strength. The one exception to that is if you're currently being raided during war. Your convoys being raided will affect your supply network strength as you'd expect. So basically, how many convoys you need for a trade route or for a port connection, well, not so much for the port connection, but for a trade route or to supply your troops, that is going to be based off of how many nodes it is going through. So if we were to just take a look at our trade routes here, and let's say we want to start a new export route of, I don't know, coffee, right? You can see that the number of convoys that we're going to need is different for each location. And as we get closer, obviously Mexico has a land connection, so we don't need any convoys because we're just going to trade it across land, probably more likely across rivers or something like that. While if, you know, we go further away, then it's going to be costing more. Now, there are other factors that impact that as well. It's not only distance, but that's one of the considerations. So these trade routes will require us to maintain them using the convoys. Again, with the convoys that we currently have available, those are produced by our ports. So if you need more convoys so you can do more trade routes or supply more troops or whatever you need them for, then you just build those ports up. So they need the convoys to maintain them. And then, of course, they also need bureaucracy. Another thing we haven't talked about as I've been doing these trade routes. You'll see that we're using 165 bureaucracy to maintain our current trade routes. So that does have a cost to it as well. So the last thing I'd like to mention on this topic is trade centers. So when you set up trade routes, there needs to be POPs to doing everything. Unlike Victoria 2, like for instance, when you build railways in Victoria 2, they didn't require a building or POPs to work it. It just worked. It just gave you the bonus. So it didn't require you to have actual employees in the railway, as we do here in Victoria 3. And that's pretty much everything. So let's say when we build, oh, I guess we have something built already here. Let's say we looked at the White House here. Where is that? Up here. So the White House, this does require POPs. We have 500 bureaucrats currently working in the White House, and they require wages, infrastructure usage, and then they give us these benefits here because this is a unique building. So we're getting a plus 20% government administration building throughput and plus 20 urbanization. So this is a unique building. I guess many games would call them like wonders or something like that. Great buildings, perhaps. So there's many of these in the game that already exist, and there's more that you can construct. So I'll just kind of show you guys some examples of these. So here's some of the ones that can be constructed down here. You're seeing like the Eiffel Tower, Big Ben, and we have the Statue of Liberty, which can be constructed in New York. But we don't have it available yet because we need steel frame buildings. And that's going to give us prestige and migration attraction in New York. But it requires jobs. Then if we were to look at, there's a few more in here, like the canals. The Suez Canal, the Panama Canal, things we might want to, well, the Suez Canal is not really for us, but the Panama Canal might be something that we want to work on one day. So that's available in here as well. But all buildings, including the trade centers, require employees. That's where I'm going with this. So these are the trade centers. This is the people that are doing the trading. This will increase automatically as you build trade routes. And of course, if you end trade routes, then it decreases. And you can see all the trade routes that are currently producing this number here, the 55 trade centers. So a lot of employees here, 55,000. A lot of those are clerks, quite a few capitalists as well, since they're the ones organizing and financing that trade. And these are the routes that are currently in the New York Trade Center. And these are also providing us bonuses. So like a place that has a lot of trading, like New York here, is getting a huge migration attraction bonus. Plus you're also getting a ton of urbanization, which is resulting in us having much larger urban center. Our urban center is currently 11 here. And that produces those services and consumes these goods here. So it's all kind of tied together. Again, you don't really need to know all that stuff to play the game, but it is helpful to better understand the game and you know, if you have any issues, to know why you're having those issues. So let's go ahead and get started in today's episode. I talked a lot longer about that than I intended to. So we're going to be continuing to work on enacting the dedicated police force here. Hopefully we get it done with this one. We almost have it done. It's the 15th of August, so it's tomorrow. I should have let that finish before I ended that last episode. We're also doing the Western Frontier Expedition, and we're getting ready for the war with Mexico. Now, Mexico only has, looks like 28 battalions total if they bring up all of their conscripts. So they're obviously not really able to compare to us if we were to bring up our conscripts, but I don't want to have to bring those up if we don't have to. I'd prefer to use our standing army. So we're going to be building the standing army up. Also, we still have infamy. Oh, actually, you know what? We burned it all down already. All right, so we don't have infamy anymore. No longer need to worry about that, so that's good. But yeah, we can, could declare war on them now if we wanted to. We're going to wait just a little bit, guys. Let's get a couple things done. Let's build up the army a little bit, all that kind of good stuff. And then we'll take care of that. So it looks like, unfortunately, the enactment success chance has been decreased. We just cannot get this done for some reason. We're having a lot of trouble with this particular law. All right, so the current expedition is going, proceeds without incident. Thus, we didn't have an event or anything tied to it, and we just got some progress. So again, like there's some important stuff here, and you just can't get through it all because so much crap in there. But yeah, we already are progressing, and it looks like we have our first event here for the Western Frontier Expedition. When the earth opened its mouth. Making their way through the mountains, the expedition finds a dangerous gorge. Their guide advises them to take a longer, more secure route instead of crossing it. Alright, so we can say our guide knows better, the expedition is slightly delayed, or we have no time to waste, 50% chance we'll gain peril, and a 50% chance we'll get minor progress. Alright, well those are not good odds, and minor progress is just a little tick up here, so we'll just have to slightly delay it. Doesn't change the progress, it just, you don't get anything from it. So yeah, we'll see how that ends up going here. you know, we have a good leader there doing it. So hopefully we can be successful, because sometimes these fail. It does happen, or they just go on forever. You just can't get it completed. Here's another event tied to that: an undiscovered plant species. A member of the expedition has asked for a few days to stop and collect samples of a previously unknown plant species. So we can say, of course, this is going to give us 5% prestige, delay the expedition, or we can say, what are we, gardeners, and we're going to get minor progress. I don't really need the prestige, guys. You know, we can try and really build up the prestige to make sure that we have a good ranking here. I'm not too worried about it, though. There are a lot of great powers right now. Apparently Spain has made it into the great powers list. They don't start as one. And yeah, with 7 total and us number 5, I'm feeling all right. How this works, by the way, is there's no set number of great powers like there is in other Paradox games, where you can only have you have a certain number of great powers. In this one, it's there can be a wide number of them. It's based off of, you know, the percentage of GDP and stuff, the percentage of stats you have of the total, and if you reach a certain threshold, then you're a great power. So basically, if you become incredibly powerful and wealthy, you can make it so you're the only great power because nobody else has enough wealth to fit in there. Now, the thresholds are affected by like the number 1 country as well. So that typically that doesn't happen. Usually there are going to be at least some, but you know, if you conquer wide chunks of the world, then yeah, you might end up seeing that. At the very least, there'll be less great powers. So let's go ahead and just go with the minor progress to try and get this done, because I'd like to get this completed before we start the war if we can. All right, because the admiral, he's tied to this right now. He's currently doing this, so we'll be able to use him. Inefficient agriculture. The industrialists have started complaining about the existence of subsistence farms in Maryland, stating that their undeniable inefficiency should be immediately addressed. All right, so if we say we should follow their advice, we'll get migration attraction in Maryland, but the upper strata pops there will become more radical. Or we can say they will serve our purpose, and then we'll slightly irritate the industrialists, who are already quite loyal. We don't really need the migration attraction, and we certainly don't need the radical pops, so we're just going to go with this one, just because we have room to irritate them, so it's not really much of a problem. And yeah, just lots of stuff happening over here that's kind of irrelevant. And what is this about? Okay, so this is not something we really need to get involved in, I don't think. I mean, it is, you know, technically violating the Monroe Doctrine, I suppose. Now let's just see what they're doing. Yeah, they're trying to puppet them. So I suppose we could get involved if we were wanting to, you know, stop any further expansion of European powers in the Americas, saying like, hey, this is not the place for you to expand. Now Britain already has Belize over here, or what they call British Guatemala, because it's part of the Guatemalan state. So it's kind of confusing there, but yeah, that's, they created an independent state here, or excuse me, like a puppet, then that would be called Belize. But yeah, they already have this territory over here. But yeah, I kind of feel like, almost like we should get involved in this, just to oppose them expanding any further, to make our statement here. Say that we're at least leaning towards them here. Yeah, because there's a bunch of countries getting involved, and I just feel like, yeah, this is not Britain's place. They should not be. We don't want any of the European countries getting involved here in the Americas. That's our backyard. It's our zone of influence, a sphere and influence, if you will. Looks like we're having some issues here with glassworks, shortage of dye causing problems. Okay, so we're gonna need to do something about that. But yeah, we should probably start building up our military. Obviously, we need it for the war at Mexico, but there might be a war here with the British. That would be a major conflict. I'd prefer to avoid it. I'm hoping they back down when they see that we're involved here. So let's go ahead and start building the troops up, because clearly we need them. So what we're going to want to do is go into our military lens and start building up the barracks. You can see that we do have that cap of 5. And remember, this is going to affect who controls them. So we're going to want some in the New England area, because I think we only have 3 here. And we're going to also want some over here, where Zachary Taylor, the Midwest area, where he's currently at. And then maybe one more in the south. I don't want to get too crazy. with the south here. Yeah, I think we're probably fine. Let's just go 1 in Florida. And then let's get a few over here as well. Do we have any in New York yet? Can't tell. Okay, we got 1 there. So yeah, they've got a lot of peasants. So yeah, if you want to kind of sort this that way, you could always do it, you know, based on how many peasants are available. So we're going to need a lot here in New England. I'm thinking like 3. And then maybe get 3 over here as well. Again, I wasn't planning on getting these just yet, but we're going to go ahead and do that now. So Ohio, I'm pretty sure that's in his area. Michigan, and then maybe 1 more in Illinois. Yeah, we'll do that. Let me just double check and make sure that I have that right. That is, in fact, his area. Yeah, Ohio is in his region. So I did 3. That gets us up to 6. I probably should have only done 2. Maybe 5 and 5 and then 8. But that's fine. We'll do the 6 there. And so that would leave us with a total of 20 battalions. So it's a good number. Alright, so we probably should prioritize these a little bit more. So we're currently doing the tooling workshops, the railway, and then the tooling workshops. Let me just take a look how we're doing on the tools. They're not too bad, so we can take that down some. And clearly dye is a problem, but again, we can't produce that, so we need to create a new import route. So let's go ahead and do that now. Spain can produce quite a bit, 84. We got plenty of convoys, so that's not a concern. So yeah, we'll trade with Spain. Does require a lot of convoys, trading with them, but yeah, it's also getting us a lot of dye. So let's go ahead and do that to try and reduce the price of dyes. And that's right, we were moving around construction here. So what I think we're going to do, I wish you could drag this, you know, like you can in Hoi 4, but unfortunately you can only click all the way up to the top or move them 1 at a time. I'll move that one down. And since we're doing all right on the tools, we're going to move all the barracks up. In fact, maybe it'd be better to, yeah, I feel like it might be better to just alt click these down. Like so. And then start working on the barracks after we finish up this tooling workshop and this railway. Though, we're not going to get it done in time for when the conflict's going to break out. If we continue working on these. I think it's fine. Whatever. We can build them during the war if necessary. Let's hope this doesn't result in a war. Alright, so we can't do anything until we get to the next stage. You'll see that was the first stage. We've now moved into the second one. This is the diplomatic maneuvers period here. So all they are trying to do is ensure their independence here. And so yeah, they just want their independence, make sure that they're not a puppet. And that's currently what we're going to work to help them on. So we can support them here in the diplomatic play. We are not tied to keep that support. By doing this, leaning towards, we're saying that we're interested in helping them. This can result in the AI trying to give you stuff, trying to, like, you know, give you things in the war goal, or perhaps they offer you an obligation. It's kind of like the favors, the favor system from EU4 if you play that game. So it's a little bit like that in a sense. But yeah, there's this system of obligations. If you get an obligation, you can like force the other country to do certain things. So yeah, sometimes they'll grant you that. So it can be beneficial to just leave yourself on leaning, because once you say you support them, there's no reason for them to grant you anything, because you're already saying you're going to support them. So we're going to leave it on that and see if they offer anything to us. So maybe we can get something from this. But you can see that there are other countries just automatically siding with them that are in the area. And, oh, they have actually been swayed. So there's an example of it. They've swayed them. So they offered them something. And there's also a war goal that was just added. Let's take a look and see what's going on over here. So because Honduras has joined, the British have added the war goal to puppet them as well. So this is going to create a huge problem here in Britain. We have to get involved at this point. Yeah, we're definitely going to have to get involved. So you can see this is the escalation phase here. The French want a trade agreement. We had that trade agreement with them before and they canceled it because of our high infamy. So we're going to go ahead and say that we agree to that. We want that back in place. Guatemala has been swayed and has joined them as well. They're all starting to mobilize. That whaling industry has been removed. That journal entry, we didn't complete it in time. Same thing with the munitions industry. As I was saying before, these do have time limits. Clearly, these ones were a 10-year time limit since we're in 1846. So because we didn't do those, which I didn't have any intention to do them, that has resulted in us losing the ability to do them. But yeah, we were never going to work on that in the first place. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they add another war goal, but maybe not. Maybe because they're worried about escalating this any further. So we got a journal entry. The Journal of, not an event, the Journal of Philosophical Studies. So members of the philosophy department from the University of New York have signed a formal petition for governmental funding of their next project, a scientific journal. So we can say we have no resources for this. It's going to radicalize the academics in New York, or we can fund the journal. It can be quite expensive, and that's going to grant us 10% prestige, which is pretty nice. We don't really have the money for it, but I don't really want to radicalize them either, so we'll go ahead and fund the journal. It's a good thing we built up that gold reserve pool. The reason why I was doing that is because wars are expensive, so once we went to war, we're going to start losing a lot of money. Now, I was expecting the first war to be against Mexico and not Britain, but yeah, we're starting to run out of time to join this here, so we're going to need to join soon. A bear sighted. A large grizzly has been sighted up ahead. We could hang back and wait for it to leave, or we could hunt it. So again, this is part of our expedition. We can say we shall hunt it, and there's a 50% chance of a successful bear hunt, a 50% chance of a failure. Or we say it's better to be safe, 60% chance that triggers the bear attack, or 40% chance of the expedition continuing. Okay, so we're going to hunt it. 50% chance of something good is much better than a 40% chance. So we're going to go with that. And we are successful. The expedition has successfully hunted and killed the grizzly bear. Failure would have been unbearable. So that has increased progress. Alright, excellent. So yeah, this is... Yeah, we're going to have to join, guys. Okay, so let's go ahead and no longer just lean towards them. We'll go ahead and support them. So we will be involved in this. And they're already traveling with 40 units there. So the three countries involved are all bordering each other. So it started over this Mosquito Kingdom. Mosquito? I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but they're all bordering each other. So the British will be able to just advance all the way through here. And it does take so long to send troops there that we're going to need to raise up our own troops. I mean, 40 units here. We'll have... Yeah, this is going to be rough, guys. It's difficult to advance, and we'll have a good defensive terrain, but I just don't think that these units are going to be very good compared to Britain's. Ours should be comparable, but we have not even 20 at this point. We're still building them up. So yeah, it's definitely this is going to be a rough fight, guys. And clearly Britain is ready to fight it. This is going to be war at Britain. Another thing to consider is Canada. Yeah, because that'd bring Canada into the conflict. So that's another front up here. Yep, look at all these fronts. We're going to have to raise up our conscripts. There's no way around it. We just will not have a large enough army to get this done, guys. This is going to be a massive conflict, guys. A very large conflict. Britain has not raised up their own conscripts. So they're just sending... regular army troops, but look how many regular army troops I currently have. 181. We got Queen Victoria, of course, who the game and the age is named after. She's only 26 years old, early in her rule here. And she's getting aggressive in Central America, so we're going to stop her. I did not see this in my previous playthrough. So yeah, we're going to have problems with Britain, which was not part of the plan. But things don't always go as planned, so let's get this started, guys. We're gonna have to raise up our troops. There's no way around it. Not only are we gonna be mobilizing our generals here, which we don't actually have enough. We need to get one more. We need to get one into the south. I don't think we have any troops here outside of the conscripts, which we should be able to get plenty of conscripts in these three regions. So I'm not going to raise up another one. We'll just get one for... Okay, so we have one for the Dixie. Okay, so where is it that we don't have one? We have one for Midwest. We don't have one for New England. Okay. So we needed a new general for the New England region. So we got one from the Southern Planters, one from the Armed Forces. So this is General Judah Carey and Simon Coyle. So he's persistent as far as his commander bonuses. This is going to be a 50% morale damage protection. He has expensive taste. He's a pillager, so it's going to cause more devastation, but also 50% supply route cost reduction. And he's a diplomat, increasing morale recovery. So morale is going to be very high under Judah Carey. Under Simon Coyle, he's also persistent, and he has the supply requisitions expert. That could be pretty useful. So I think we're going to appoint him. He's also in the Armed Forces. And the devastation's overall negative for the most part, unless you're just trying to cause devastation. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and appoint him, and then we're going to have to mobilize all 3 of these guys. We're going to need them all. And then we have 3 separate fronts as of right now. Oh, actually, there's another one down here. Now we do have some defending units there, so we're probably not going to be able to advance. We can't advance on all of them, basically. So we need to defend down here, since this is what the war is over. So 1 general needs to go there, 1 general up here, and 1 general here. Now, it makes the most sense to kind of base this off of where they're currently located, because their travel time will be based on that. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to take our New England commander and put him up here, since it's in New England. So that makes sense. And then Zachary Taylor probably up here. I mean, as far as their abilities, he would be really good on defense. He's an expert defensive strategist. And here I kind of want to go on offense if we can, but it's 40 units. If we give him a ton of conscripts, though, then he can get the job done. So what I'm thinking is the William Shubrick, the leader of our Dixie HQ, would be down here. And then Zachary Taylor, I know he's a defensive guy, but he would be up here, and he'd be advancing the front against that limited number of troops. I don't think we're going to be on defense anywhere. We're going to be trying to advance everywhere until the British raise up their troops, which they have not sent very many at this moment. So I think we'll be okay, at least initially. So yeah, let's go and get them all sent over to their fronts. So what we're going to want to do is have, again, Simon. He's going to be, we're going to have him advance here. I think he should be able to. And let's see which way we want to go. This is where the majority of the troops are, and we don't have enough defending right there. So I think we're going to put him here, just because that's where all the troops are, but eventually we're going to want to push forward there, just to get this front wrapped up. So he'll go there, and he'll advance the front as long as we outnumber them. Then with our Dixie HQ commander, Shubrick, remember he's coming down here. He will initially defend the front until he gets more troops. He's not going to be able to advance with that limited number that we're giving him. And then the last one is Zachary Taylor, and he will advance the front over here. Okay, so obviously not enough troops, so we will be activating conscripts. You can do that here with this button. There's other ways to get in there as well. Of course, you can go through the military screen, click on this and do it through the map. You can do it through here. This shows you how many you have available. And remember, there are limits to how many units each commander can lead. We've seen that before. We might have to promote somebody because these are all level 1s. So if we look at that, they can do the 20 regular battalions and 40 conscript battalions. So essentially, it's completely useless to raise more than 40 in any of these areas. We only want to raise the 40 up. So that's what we need to keep in mind here. So if we just raise the 40 in New York, that would be all we'd have to raise up. But then that impacts New York and the people who work there. So do we want to do New York, one of our most important economic states, or would we prefer to do a collection here in New England of locations that will get us up to 40 without affecting New York? That's another way to do it. So what we might want to do, let's just take a look at where the New England HQ is again, just kind of confirm where the Dixie one starts. So that's in Maryland and also covers Delaware here. Okay, so I just wanted to confirm Then I knew where those regions ended. And let's go into the activate conscription centers. And yeah, I mean, Pennsylvania and New York is where the majority is going to be from. I don't think we can produce 40 without those. Actually, counting them up, we could get about 40. But another thing to consider is there's not that many troops over here. So do we actually want to activate that many here for where we're going to have the New England front? Now remember, it does take time to mobilize them, but I don't think we need that many, guys. So he has 3. Let's give him 7. We'll give him from Maine. I think that's a good way to do it. Could also do the 15 from Massachusetts. If we start to see a lot of British troops come over here, then that's what we'll do. We'll activate the Massachusetts one. For right now, we'll just do the 7 from Maine. We want to be conservative with this. Remember, we have to pay for all these troops. We have to provide them with supplies. Obviously, we're going to take a look at our arms industry. Things are about to start getting very expensive, guys. So that's good for New England. In the Midwest, another area where we don't really have a lot of enemies that we're currently facing. All right, so this is the Midwest region. So I really don't think we need to activate a ton of troops. It's just not advantageous, particularly since you can't disband them, to activate too many troops, guys. So let's be cautious with what we're doing here. Let's go with, I'm thinking the 12 from Indiana, or maybe just the 8 from Illinois. That might be enough as well. We'll do the 12 from Indiana. Make sure we are able to succeed here. Another thing to consider is the garrison troops. If you activate the garrison troops there, you know, you're not going to be able to defend the territory properly. So yeah, you do want to leave troops on fronts that you're not planning on defending. Send anybody to. All right, so the last area would be the Dixie HQ. We know that there's 40 going down there, so we need a comparable number. So this is going to be a larger army. So let me just go back out of it, make sure I know where these borders are. Okay, so right along the Appalachian Mountains into Arkansas here. Okay, so let's go ahead and get a lot activated. Probably not 40. Texas really can't produce very many. There's just not very high population there. Okay. So there's not a high population in most of these regions. Virginia is going to get us 18. If we just did these two here, that'll give us 30. And we'd have a comparable number to be able to get this area wiped out, because I really want to finish this up and defend the territory that they're declaring war for. So I'm thinking that's what we're going to do, guys. I know that's a lot of troops that we're going to have to pay for here, guys. This is going to get incredibly expensive. It wasn't part of the plan, but we've got to keep the British out. All right, so that's the current situation. We are raising up our troops. And I'm hoping they back down, because we are in the countdown to war here. So we're just going to see what happens. Let's turn this down just a little bit, because it's going pretty fast. More conflict in the Americas. I guess we can go ahead and say that we're not interested in this at all. Let's go and declare our neutrality. Okay, guys, so yeah, this is going to be a large conflict, a much larger conflict than planned. We need to keep our eyes on the fronts to see where the British move their troops to. So we got rifling just in time. That's fantastic, because we need to take a look at our situation, our arms industries. Okay, so that's great timing. Let's go ahead and see if there's anything else in the military tree we might want to work on. These are going to take a while because of they're level 3. We've already gone through the level 2 ones. But yeah, we might want to do it anyways. We don't know how long this war is going to last. Let's see if there's any options in here. I really wanted to get the mechanized workshops. That's what I intended to get in. But yeah, it looks like we're going to have to prioritize military stuff. Okay. So yeah, we'll get another military tech. So let's see what we want to do. We don't need more conscriptable battalions. We'd have to raise up a lot of generals. You can have multiple generals in a location, so I don't think I showed that yet. Or I didn't mention it. So let's say we're in the military screen here. So we can go ahead and recruit a general in any of these areas, even areas we already have generals. So that's how you're able to control all your conscripts. So if we wanted to raise another general up for the Dixie HQ, we could do that. or for the New England HQ, so that we can have more troops from that region. I'm just not doing that, but we can. But right now I'm trying to keep the war minimized because it's going to be very expensive. But let's go ahead and get something selected here. We don't need, as I said, we don't need the enlistment offices. That's not a problem. We could probably use the breech loaders though. I think that would be really helpful. So I think that's what we're going to go after, guys. This would help as well with the war exhaustion from casualties being reduced, because we're going to probably take casualties. So let's get the breech load and artillery. And then we need to take a look at our military industry. So artillery is getting very expensive, as is ammunition. Small arms is not as bad, but has increased in price at least slightly. Let's go and take a look at our military industries. Let's see what we might want to do here. So we got our arms industries here. Remember, we did not make the adjustments over to rifles yet, which we just got, so that's going to produce more small arms. Small arms isn't really that expensive yet. It will become more expensive, but until it does, I don't think we should do this. It will reduce the cost of iron, but tools and steel will become more expensive. So let's not do that until we actually need it. But we should go ahead and start producing the smooth bores, because artillery is clearly a problem. Actually, that would make small arms an issue as well. Okay, I see. Yeah, so that would become a problem. Now we could just increase the size here of this. Yeah, I think this is going to be necessary. I think we're going to have to produce more artillery. So what we'll do is we'll go to the smooth bores. That'll drastically increase the cost of small arms, but then we can just switch these up to try and fix that problem. Alright, so these should both have been changed. And looks like I did smooth bores here, but not here. So let's go like this. Just change that up a little bit. New York is producing the best. And we'll see if we need to go all the way over on it. We'll take a look at the cost. The munition plants, there's nothing to be done here except for increasing the size. So basically that's what we're going to have to do. We'll have to increase the size of this. We'll just do one level here for now, and then we'll see what the costs are. We'll probably have to trade for it temporarily if it starts getting too expensive. We got a lot of money stockpiled though. We're the ones paying for that right now. Oh, the Navy. So the Navy don't have to raise up. It's always raised up. So the issue here is that Matthew Perry is currently on his quest, and he has 20 of our ships. So that's kind of a problem, because you notice we can't do anything while he's busy. So he can't patrol the coast or raid convoys, or do naval invasions, or escort our convoys. None of those are available. Now, the British fleet is overwhelmingly powerful, so I don't know how much we'd be able to do it anyways. But yeah, unfortunately he can't do anything here. However, because of his current rank of Commodore, he can only control 20 ships. We have, I think, 25 in this location. Yeah, there's well, that says 20. But I'm pretty sure we have 5 still available. I think this is just showing us how many he currently has. Because yeah, I think there's 5 more that he is currently not controlling. So what I probably would do is promote Matthew Perry. But because he is busy, we could just do another admiral there to get the 5 ships. What is 5 ships worth? Same thing here with the Dish HQ. There's nobody commanding it. What's the point of changing up? Now, one thing we have not done yet is changed up these from naval traditions to the power of the purse. We should do that. That'll increase offense and defense, moral damage, and damage protection. I didn't know we had that available. So let's go ahead and do that. These are our naval theories. So we'll go ahead and do that in all of these locations, even the ones that are garrisoned. Go ahead and change them up. But yeah, there's not really much we can do, guys, as long as this here is ongoing. So it's kind of a problem. But again, I didn't expect this war to happen. We do have this quest here to see if we can get it advanced. As the expedition advances, the prioritization of tasks increases in importance, and Matthew Perry has started a log in which he keeps track of what every man must do. So we can say hunting must be prioritized. That'll trigger the event hunting in 3 days. Or it's imperative that we find a settlement, and this will bring peaceful intentions. That'll fire that event in 3 days. Let's go with that one. Peaceful intentions. We're just peacefully mapping out the West. Let's see what happens on the event. And they back down. Damn. So, good things and bad things here, guys. The war, they had added Honduras onto that to puppet them. However, when you back down, it only gives the main war goal, the one that started the conflict. So they did not puppet Honduras. They only puppeted the Mosquito Kingdom. And yeah, is that Camp Mosquito? Anyway, they're now a puppet, unfortunately. And Britain has won. They saw the numbers of troops that we were raising, and they weren't impressed. Our allies weren't impressed. Alright. That's unfortunate. So we're still building up our troops here. I didn't really want to do the war anyways because it was going to be costly and people were going to die, and it was going to be costly. But I wanted to show the British that they could not expand here, and that's not what happened. They won this. So I think in the future we're going to see problems with the British. So we got to keep that in mind. We need to get this situation with Mexico handled sooner rather than later. Here's our event with the event with the peaceful intentions. A few days after being sent on a reconnaissance mission, members of the expedition come back announcing that they have found a native village in which the group can find aid. So we can say we should try to barter with them, and this will reduce the current peril of the expedition. I don't think we have any peril. Or we can say, is there anyone who can guide us in this progress? So that's what we want to do. So with our war efforts that we had already enacted, I don't know if there's anything we need to do because, there's troops all that we were raising up have all disbanded. I guess the real problem I can see here is that artillery is now really expensive, so we might just want to go ahead and trade that. Trading military goods can be kind of difficult, though, because it's constantly changing in other countries based on whether or not they're at war. So I don't really like trading the military goods. But yeah, the small arms is fine. But obviously artillery is... we could just reduce it, but let's try and export it. I'm fine with exporting it. Obviously, we don't want to export it to anybody like the British, somebody who might be a potential enemy. Russia is be very expensive here. We can trade 31 to them. I'm not entirely sure how bad it is. Yeah, that would actually fix most of the issues here with the cost. So let's just trade with the Russians. And that should be profitable. Alright, so that's what we'll do for now. And we'll just keep the current PMs that we have. And we'll just kind of pop in there again to make sure there's no issues. And with the building of the troops, we were doing that anyway, so we don't need to stop that. That was for the war with Mexico in the first place, so... But yeah, that was unfortunate that they backed down. I was willing to fight it. To keep the British out of any further out of Central America. Snow on the ground. Some members of the expedition have expressed concern that the weather is turning against them. They insist on hunkering down to avoid the worst of it. In April, huh? I mean, it can get... I'm not entirely sure where they're at. It looks like they're over here in Utah. I know in Colorado. I've never lived in Utah. Obviously, we just came from Colorado. That's where we moved from. And in Colorado, they have long winters. Like, the winters go well into April, sometimes into May. You'll be getting snow in May. Sometimes you get a ton of snow in May, actually. Just this last May, we got a ton of snow. That was pretty bad. But they have longer winters. So, yeah, it could be snowy in there in Utah. When I think of Utah, I just think of the desert, though. Every time I drive through there to go to California or to Nevada, I've never actually stopped in Utah for anything but gas, but whenever I drive through there, it's just desert. So that's what I think of the state. So we can say we can press on. 50% chance we survive the snow, 50% chance we get lost, or heed their warning and slightly delay it. Well, we have no peril in this one, so let's press on. Let's see what happens. We got lost in the snow, so we gained some peril now. Okay, so that's unfortunate. But that is the first event that gave us peril. And there's pretty much no chance of passing this law again, guys. I don't know why we're having so much difficulty with passing this particular law. We just cannot get it done, and it's the main one I want to do as well. So yeah, very unfortunate. So we can do it another year, and I think that's what we're going to do. I just really want to get it done. So we'll try again in a year. But yeah, just no success on trying to get that passed. 2 times now we have failed. despite the sport not being that bad. Mountain sighted. So a member of the expedition has suggested that we detour to climb a mountain and claim it in the name of the United States of America. So we can say an excellent idea, and 50% chance that we reach the summit, 50% chance that it triggers the mountainside issues, or we can say we can't spare the time. And I think that's what we're going to do. I believe if you reach the summit, it gets you prestige. So we're going to do this to get the progress, because we're trying to get this completed here. But you'll see the same events doing these guys. And, you know, I had to do this multiple times, this mission. And it's like the same events over and over again. I'm sure if you're in somewhere else, like let's say you're, you know, mapping out the Amazon or something like that, I'm sure you get very different events in those instances. It's interesting. I didn't see this conflict here between Russia and the Ottomans. So they conquered Cyprus and Macedonia. Okay, so you can see the Russians over there in Macedonia and Cyprus now. And they were forced, because treaties, unlike in other Paradox games, they can go both ways. You can get stuff while also giving stuff away to try and get like a good settlement. And so that's a really cool part of Victoria 3 that wasn't in other Paradox games. I'm really happy to see that they added it here, because I felt like it adds a lot to the diplomacy system, the peace treaty system. So yeah, you can see that they were forced to open their market, and they gave the Ottomans a treaty port in Crimea. Okay, so the Ottomans are losing territory, because they've just lost that territory there, but they've also lost territory to Egypt. Egypt has been advancing, so they're clearly having issues. That seems to be the case for the Ottomans, which makes sense. They are what were called at the time the sick man of Europe, and that makes sense that they'd be losing ground. I think they have a journal entry about that too. It's called the sick man of Europe. All right, so we got a lot of stuff done. We got those barracks. So if we look at our total troop numbers, we now have 20 battalions. So I think that will be plenty to get the job done against Mexico. We also decreased colonial affairs. So that means we got a little bit of our bureaucracy back, which is good because we just gave some away in order to do, not gave it away, but spent it in order to do those trade deals. So artillery is no longer expensive. Let me just take a look, see what is expensive. Steel is getting expensive. We have not really started building up our steel industry, something I've been excited to do because we're going to do that in Pennsylvania, guys. So money is a bit of a problem, but yeah, I think we're going to continue to build things right now. So we're currently working on the university. I think this is why it's so expensive, because we're working on all government buildings right now. So we're not using that investment pool. But that'll be used for the munition plants, which we no longer really need. But we saw we had munition problems before. And we were raising up more troops last time, but I think it'll still be an issue. So I think we should go ahead and let that build. Just so we don't have problems in this future conflict against Mexico. So let's let these finish up. We'll do the munition plants. But yeah, clearly we need to do something about the steel problem. So we're going to go ahead and start building that up, because that is very expensive. And clothes are still an issue as well. And that's affecting all of our pops. So let's go ahead and start with the steel industry. So that's going to be the steel mills. And you can see we already have some of those in Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh specifically. Saying it's not the most profitable place, but I don't care. That's where we're building them anyway. So we're going to build, I think, like 2 levels of these guys. And those will build over here in Pittsburgh. I think, you know what, they actually might build those in the city of Philadelphia. Yeah, they might build those there. The iron mines is what builds in Pittsburgh. But yeah, I'd prefer the steel mills be over here. That's where they should be. Philadelphia actually has steel mills too, though. My grandfather worked in one of them. You know, Pittsburgh's known as the steel city, but Philadelphia also has steel mills. My grandfather worked in one for like 30 years. He was Irish, from Ireland. Alright, so doesn't look like we're going to have this conflict in this episode. I didn't think we would. Did kind of all slow down. Also, the expedition just continued. Did kind of slow down due to that potential conflict with the British that we were building up for. We got a bunch of events over here. 2 events. Dye Works accident. Okay, so I don't think we've seen this one before. Several workers died today at the Pennsylvania Dye Works when an industrial-sized tub of hot dye accidentally spilled out over the workshop floor and the unsuspecting workers. What I'm confused about is, where are the dye works in Pennsylvania? They don't produce dye in Pennsylvania. We don't have the ability to build those just yet, I don't think. No, we can't even build them yet. So, I'm not entirely sure what they're referring to here. What building? Are there maybe the textile mills? Not sure. Anyways, we can say we shall all die sooner or later. Ha ha ha, they spelled it D-Y-E. So this will, not be a good thing overall. So we can say they shall not have died in vain, but this will result in more support for the trade unions. Okay, no matter what, you're going to get the plus 4% mortality. It doesn't matter, do you want those radical labor pops? We're getting a lot of radicals. Alright, but I don't really want to get the trade unions more powerful either, so let's see where they're at on opinion. If we got one more opinion with them, we get their bonus, so we'll do it. We don't want more radicals, and we do want that bonus. So another expedition event. The expedition to map the West has been traveling in circles. Yes, I've seen that. It's taken forever. So Matthew Barry can either pick a random direction and push on, or wait for night to fall and use the stars as a guide. So we can push on, 75% chance that we'll be hopelessly lost, 25% chance to get back on track, or wait for nightfall. It'll be slightly delayed, so we'll do that. We got the baking powder. Alright, excellent. So that'll allow us to get more groceries at the cost of grain and sugar. Sugar is very cheap in our country right now. But with them being happy, they have left the enact migration controls, so that's good, because we didn't want to do that. I think that's where we're getting all the radicals from, actually. Yeah, we're getting all the radicals because of these 2 political movements. I was wondering why it was hopping up so quick. I wouldn't be surprised if political movements are causing it. Yeah, 212,000 from political movements. Now, successful political movements has reduced it by 22,000, but yeah, this is the big factor here. This is where they're coming from, guys. Because we got these 2, and this one has a lot of support. They really want to enact censorship. That's going to be a problem, because I don't want to do that. Alright, so yeah, it's the Democrats, man. They're causing us all kinds of problems. This is the Democratic Party right here. Well, evangelicals might not be in the Democratic Party, but I want to say the rest of these interest groups are. And this should end the migration controls. They don't have to have an interest group, but yeah, I would think their support would be so low at this point that they'll no longer be around, and that might help us out up there, but this is the main problem, the censorship one. But yeah, the bonus that we're getting is the 10% manufacturing industry throughput. So that's what we wanted for that 10%, or for that, 5%. That's why we took that decision. So mechanized workshops is now spreading to us, which is actually what I wanted to work on, but then we ended up getting stuck doing the military one. We didn't have to keep doing it, though. It's 34 months to finish it, so we could switch over. So yeah, we could switch over if we wanted to. But I would like to improve our troops. So I'm tempted to go ahead and finish it. I don't know that we'll get it in time, though, for the war with Mexico, because all we're waiting on is to finish this damn thing so that we can use him for a naval invasion. But it's just taking forever. A new quest. As the expedition advances, the prioritize... Okay, so we've already seen this one. So let's go with... We went with this one last time, so we'll go with the hunting. Must be prioritized this time. Southern planters have left censorship. Alright, so that has resulted in them losing a lot of their support. Maybe we can start ticking down these radicals. So here's the hunting event. The expedition men who had been sent hunting have found an area by the riverbank, filled with every animal that they had encountered during their travel. The question is, which one to hunt? So we can say we cannot afford any risk, go for a small animal, 33% chance of peril, 66% chance of minor progress. Or we can instead go with the risk. We need the food, go for the big game. Very high chance, 2/3 chance of some sort of peril. But you might gain a lot more progress, which would likely complete it. We're just going to go for the minor progress. Let's go for the safe route here, guys. And then we have the miracle of life. The expedition is waking up in the middle of the night. Inhuman screams come from one of the tents, and a female voice cries, "Baby." So we can take care of the baby. The expedition will be slightly delayed. Or you say it's best for both of them to go back to the village. We're going to do that so we can try and get this completed, because it looks like that's enough right there. Alright, so we did complete it. Excellent. So that's this here, the Great Salt Lake. After a long and arduous journey, the expedition has finally come to an end. The expedition has managed to find and map the entirety of the Great Salt Lake. Wonderful news. Alright, beautiful. So we're waiting on that for this journal entry here. And again, it doesn't seem to have worked. The American Western Frontier has been mapped. I wonder if you had to do it a certain amount of times, because again, I had to do it a couple times, and I was thinking it was because the first time I did it, I did not have all the objectives, the other objectives completed. But maybe that's not the case. Maybe you just got to do it a couple times. I don't know. But basically, we'll let it play a little bit. Yeah, basically it's not completed, so... but we can go to war now, because that's all we were waiting on. And we got the rural folk bonus as well. We're about to piss them all off too when we go for that law. But you know what? We will not do that until after the war, which will be next episode, because we don't have enough time to do it in this one, unfortunately. So now all we're waiting to do is build up that munitions plant, and then we'll get ready for the war against Mexico. And it looks like the southern planters, I can't tell if they're happy or not happy. I thought they already left an axe censorship as well. So we're getting a lot of the same events here. Oh, City of Plenty, another one we've already seen before. And I think we're going to do this one. Yeah, we'll do that one. We've seen a continuous rise of standard living. We'll be fine. We got modern sewage, all the bonuses that brings. So infrastructure, primarily. Alright, we're still building up the steel industry. As you can see, that is still our main issue. It's gotten more and more expensive. We got one level done. We'll get the next level done here soon. And just waiting for this so that we can start up our conflict. I guess it's going to be 5 weeks. So I guess we can play a couple more minutes, guys. I'd like to get that done. And then we'll just start up the diplomatic play against Mexico. We finished that. Let's go and get something else constructing. We might have to build another steel mill, because that one, there we go. As it's getting its workers, it's starting to tick it down. And we already have one more going, so that should be fine. So it looks like the next issues, we still have the clothes problem. So we need to get more clothes. So we'll build a textile mill. See if any of these would be profitable. Massachusetts one's not too bad. We'll go build there then. Alright, so we'll build that up there. And I think the other issue was coal. However, we have other ways to increase coal that we haven't made use of. That PM. So let's go ahead and go to the coal mines. Remember, we can't change all these at the same time. We're changing to the condensing engine pumps. And there's only a couple locations that we haven't changed up just yet. Here's the one in West Virginia. So we're going to change that up. And I suppose we can change them all now at this point. Yeah, so we have them all changed up now. And yeah, we're not going to do the nitroglycerin. Alright, excellent. So what about the rails? How is that looking? Our situation with the transportation. It's not too expensive. So if we want to get this completed, then we do need to move to rail transportation, at least in 20% of the buildings. So maybe we could start with the coal mines here. That would result in transportation getting very expensive if we did them all. It's probably not the best way to do that. Also, it's going to result in a ton of people being fired as well, but that's just part of it. So maybe just do a couple of these, just not to get too crazy with it. Maybe do it in Pennsylvania, where they have 4 of them, and Ohio. So we'll do that for now, see where the transportation costs move to. But yeah, we are ready to start up this conflict. I was going to get a couple more things building so we don't have to mess with this. We've already got the textile mills. I'm probably going to need another one there, but wood is starting to get kind of expensive, as is explosives. Okay, so we actually have PMs to deal with the explosive problem. So that's not too big of an issue. So we can go ahead and deal with that, because that's going to ramp up a little bit. So yeah, we'll deal with that through the PMs. But we do need to get more wood. So we're going to do that with the logging camps. And probably just kind of focus on building somewhere that already has some. Let me see if there's any that are really, really profitable. I mean, yeah, some of these aren't too bad, but they don't have like a ton of peasants in these areas. So I think it's fine to go ahead and just build in one of these, because we have some profitable locations, clearly. North Carolina, for instance, has a lot of peasants just sitting around. So yeah, we'll go ahead and have that built in North Carolina. And you know what? We might do another one. I feel like logging camps, or just wood in general, is a really good option for exporting for America, because they have so much of it. There's a ton of it. So maybe build a couple of these, and then with that we can I don't think we'll do Massachusetts. Let's go and do another location here, guys, that has a lot of peasants. I suppose we could do Missouri. Yeah, we'll do Missouri there. So really work on these logging camps, and then we'll set up some export routes once it gets a bit cheaper and more profitable. All right, so let's go ahead and start this up. Now, we don't have to do it through here. We can also just right-click on them. But yeah, we're going to want to start a diplomatic play to return our claims. Now, we're going to do multiple ones, but remember, if they give in, then you only get the one that you started it over. So it is important which one you're making the claim for. So it looks like we can't do everywhere. Yeah, if you look at this, like the conquer the states, you don't want Nevada, because we're not first anyway, because yeah, that'd be weird. Same thing with Arizona. That's just further bringing it down. New Mexico. Yeah, I feel like the best option for the primary one that this is over is to conquer the rest of these states here. Probably just Texas. So yeah, we're gonna go and confirm that. El Salvador will be getting involved in the conflict. I guess they're an ally of theirs. We still haven't dealt with the Indian territory yet, so they're technically involved in this as well. And these are countries who might get involved. Britain and France. They do have interest in the region. I assume they declare neutrality, but you never know. One time Russia, as I think I'd mentioned in a previous video, one time Russia decided to get involved in one of my wars with Mexico. I fought Mexico twice. And in one of those wars, the Russians got involved and sent like hundreds of battalions to the conflict and made it into this big old massive conflict that I wasn't expecting. So yeah, we have our diplomatic play here. So we'll get to see how it kind of goes from the beginning when we're a member. We're going to want to add more war goals because we're not doing this over just Mexico, or excuse me, over just Mexican Texas. We want to get everything. So actually, let's go ahead. Each one we add here is going to result in more infamy. So keep that in mind. But I want this all in one war, so I don't care. So we're gonna try and get it all in one conflict. A ton of infamy we're gonna get here, but these are returns, so I feel like it's our right to ask for these. This does cost maneuver as well. So if we look at it, we have 89 maneuvers, and so maneuvers are used not just to add war goals, but also when it comes to like swaying countries. So you don't want to use them all up. I don't really want any of them to get involved, but we might need to try and stop them from getting involved. So that's something to consider as well. So maybe we don't want to use all these. We'll see how much we have. But it might be 2 conflicts just due to the sheer amount of infamy, and this is going to cause a lot of countries to go against us. So we currently are going after Colorado and Texas. So let's make sure we're doing this in a smart way. So I'm thinking like New Mexico would be the first one here that you'd want. Yeah, probably New Mexico would be the first one to add on here. And we still got a lot of maneuvers. So let's go with maybe Utah next. Yeah, we'll do Utah next. And yeah, I'm really tempted to just do them all, honestly. So it'll be one conflict. Let's just do them all, whatever, guys. If this turns everybody against us, then it is what it is. Alright, so we have them all. I mean, we could add like a war goal to try and get some war reparations. That's just maneuvers. So what we'll want to do is wait until we make sure we don't want to use those maneuvers for anything else. So once we get towards the end here, and then we would add in the war reparations to get a bit of money from Mexico. As far as other things, I mean, there's not really anything else to add in here. You know, we could, conquer other parts of Mexico, but that's not necessary. We're getting all the states that we want right now, and infamy is already really high. You can make them a puppet as well, but yeah, that's not something we're going to work towards, guys. And it makes it more difficult as well to end the conflict. It takes longer. So yeah, we're just going to go with these, and I think that's pretty solid. So unfortunately, we do have to end the episode here. I know it's exciting. We're about to go to war with Mexico. It's going to be our first big war of the campaign. We almost had that war with the British, but obviously that didn't go down, and it was probably for the best. I really don't want them here any further in Central America, but that probably would have been a disastrous war. It would have been very costly, both in money and in lives. So probably for the best that didn't happen. But yeah, this will be our first conflict, so quite exciting. So I do hope to see you guys on the next episode. If you enjoyed this one, make sure you leave a like on it, subscribe to our channel, hit that notification bell, and leave a comment. And thanks for watching.